Welcome to Arcade Chronicles, the show that covers all things coin-op, arcade, and pinball, from the retro classics to the modern moneymakers and everything in between. I'm your host, COE33, but my friends call me Co, and I'd like to thank you for joining me today on what is now the fourth episode of Arcade Chronicles. In addition to covering arcade and pinball news and discussions, I'll also be chronicling my own personal journey of opening a video arcade in my small Oregon hometown and sharing that with you every step of the way. So why don't we go ahead and get right into it with some top stories of the week. This first story is courtesy of Nap Arcade, a wonderful source for arcade and pinball news I highly recommend. Atari just released a compilation of classic and new pinball machines on Steam called Balls of Steel. Great title. And they've got 5 classic tables and new tables. You can purchase it right now on Steam for $8.99. And this is something I'm interested in getting. I actually just purchased a Steam Deck OLED. It arrived yesterday. And I was looking for a couple things to buy, and I think I'm going to go ahead and pick up this Balls of Steel because it looks like fun. So it's got 5 different classic tables. So these are old Atari tables from back in the day. It's got Barbarian, Dark Side, Firestorm, Mutation, and Devil's Island. And then 2 brand new Atari themed tables, and these are the ones I'm probably most interested in. They've got tables based on Centipede and Missile Command. And I was watching the trailer that they have on the Steam page, and they look cool. I like it. I like what I see, and I do enjoy a little virtual pinball, whether it's from Zen or Pinball Arcade or VPX. I've got a VPin upstairs that I love to play. So I'm no stranger to the world of virtual pinball, and this looks like a fun addition to my various lineup of tables that I already have. And right now there are only, as of recording this, I should say, there are only 10 reviews on the Steam page, and it has a mixed reception. So we'll see how that fleshes out over time. But nonetheless, based on the trailer and the price point of only $8.99, this is something that I think looks pretty interesting. What about you guys? Is this something you would pick up? Do you like virtual pinball? Let me know in the comment section below. This next story is courtesy of Arcade Heroes, another great source for arcade and pinball news. And Arcade Heroes posted a story saying that ICE, which is a prolific developer of arcade games, they are doing a new football-themed game, and it's currently being tested at a place in New Jersey called Supercharged. And it's been spotted. There's a photo that someone took and posted in the Arcade Heroes Discord of this. It's called Quarterback Pro, and this is likely going to be a replacement to the 2-minute drill. Now, I've played 2-minute drill. You can see these all over the place, whether you go to like a Dave & Buster's or a round one, something like that. Oftentimes, 2-minute drill will be there. It's been out for quite a while. You throw the footballs and try to get a high score. It's a lot of fun. On Facebook Marketplace, there was someone selling a 2-minute drill for a really good price point. And I was thinking, boy, how would I get that into my garage here? Because I'm not, I don't have my location open yet. And I'm just kind of getting all the machines I can, and I'm putting them in my garage at my home. And it's pretty full in here as it is. And those like basketball games and the football games, especially like a 2-minute drill, they're huge. And I don't even think it would fit in my pickup truck. So I passed on it, even though I would like to have that. I think when I'm open for business and I can have a truck deliver something like that, that's when I would probably pick up something like a Quarterback Pro, a 2-minute drill, the basketball game, something like the skee ball, things like that that are just oversized and huge. But yeah, that is the story. So keep an eye out for Quarterback Pro on locations probably sometime in late 2024 or maybe even 2025. Moving on to the top 5 section of the show. Now, last week I did the top 5 arcade racers, and that was fun going through all the years of excellent arcade racers and trying to dial it down to just 5 picks, and it was very tough. And this one's tough as well because I love me some pinball, and in particular, we're talking about the top 5 EM, electromechanical pinball machines. And I feel like EMs don't get a lot of love sometimes in the pinball community. I know there's certainly people that love them, but I hear that they're too slow and they don't like the gameplay and there's not enough going on there. I always liked EM pinball machines. I play them all the time when I see them on location, and there's a lot of really good ones out there. So this was tough for me to whittle it down to just five, but I did my best. I spent a lot of time going through all the different machines out there. I looked at the pinball, top 100 EM list, and mine is not the same as Pinside. So just throwing it out there that it varies very differently, and this is not going to be the right list. It's just my list. So if you have different opinion, I'd love to hear about it. So let's go on to number five, top EM pinball machine, and I'm talking about Knockout. Oh man, I'm a sucker for like either an animated back glass or in this case, a really incredible toy mech in the middle of the playfield. It's got these two boxers that you box each other during the pinball game. And this is from 1950. So this is the earliest game on this list. And in 1950, to have this kind of, I guess you call a mech right there in the middle of the playfield on an EM, kind of crazy, really cool, very collectible now, and I loved it. So we got artwork by Roy Parker, who did all kinds of pinball machines back in the day, designed by Harry Mabs, 1950. Of course, this is Gottlieb, an all-time classic. I love Knockout, and I've never had the chance to play the physical table. I've never seen one on location. I've just played it on my V-Pen, but it's one of my favorites on the V-Pen. Okay, moving on to number four. We're talking about a personal favorite of mine, 4 million BC. Oh my gosh, Bally, 1971. Dinosaurs, volcanoes. I mean, what more can you ask for, right? The theme is very cool, designed by Ted Zale, and it's just got that great theme. It's got this epic cliffhanger shot. It's got zipper flippers, three-ball multi-ball, which is pretty cool for 1971 or 1971, excuse me, and amazing artwork by Dick White. So 4 million BC. If you ever see one, give it a try. I think it's a winner for sure. Moving on to number three. This is another theme that resonates with me quite a bit, and we're talking about Gottlieb, 1975, Abra Cadabra. Now, I love anything magic themed, and this is an early example of a magic theme done right. Incredible artwork by Gordon Morrison, who shows up on the list again later. Designed by Jeff Brenner. It's just a super cool theme. And the one thing I love about this machine is the drop targets. Drop targets for days. Now, I'm a sucker for lots of drop targets on a pinball machine, and this one has 10 of them. So it's got two banks of 5 drop targets on each side, kind of near the top of the play field. And so 10 drop targets all in total. It's got 2 pop bumpers, a bullseye target, and just a really cool table. Abracadabra. I love it. Okay, we're getting to some heavy hitters here with the last two. Number 2. This is a machine that I would love to have in the collection, but it's pretty spendy and they don't come up very often. I'm talking about Centigrade 37 Gottlieb, 1977. And I mentioned earlier he's going to show up on the list, and he does. Gordon Morrison with more incredible artwork designed by Alan Edwall. Just not only like the artwork is a real standout on this machine, but what I like about this machine is the gameplay. So it's got these, what do you call them, the bagatelle lanes. So you try to raise the temperature as you go. It's got 4 drop targets, a rollover lane, pop bumpers, stand-up targets. I mean, there's a lot going on for an EM pinball machine. So, it had to be on the list at number 2. Okay, number 1, my favorite EM pinball machine, and this is one I play on my V-Pen all the time, more really cool artwork. Bally, 1966. Artwork by Jerry Kelly, designed by Ted Zale. I'm talking about Capersville. Oh, I love Capersville. Okay, now this was a super successful machine for Bally. It was actually their number 1 selling machine from 1966 all the way up till 1973. So it had quite a run there. A lot of these were made. 4 players, zipper flippers, kickback gate, superb gameplay that just doesn't get old. And that's where this machine really shines, is the gameplay is spot on. I love it. And that's why it had to make the list. At number 1, Capersville. Now let's do some honorable mentions before we move on. And starting with Surfers Bally 1967, a game that often makes lists of top EM pinball machines. Another one, Matahari, very cool theme, Bally 1977. And then Drop a Card, Gottlieb 1971. You really can't go wrong with any of these machines. All right, let's move on to the radical reading section of this episode. And this week we're keeping with the pinball theme, but we're going solid state and we're doing Elvira and the Party Monsters because I love anything Elvira. Elvira is like rock star pinball status. She's got 3 amazing pinball machines, some of my favorites of all time. And Elvira and the Party Monsters came out in the 80s, and it's such a fun table. And I thought, well, that'd be a fun flyer to read. So here we are. This is a kind of a 2-page spread here. And at the top, in big, black, bold font, it says, "When they named a game after me, it had to be built." And then you got the Elvira font right next to it. "I told the boys that Bally's Elvira had to be good, and it is. Players can't keep their hands off my new game. Everywhere you look, big, beautiful features beg for attention. Pinball has never been so good or so satisfying. Believe me, everybody scores big with Elvira and the Party Monsters. The profits and the action begin with my name. Spelling Elvira, Elvira, lights the Skull Cave for 3 million points and ignites players' excitement. This timed feature forces players to perform under pressure, and that's just the way I like it." And then you have a couple screenshots here. You actually have 3 screenshots, and next to the first one it says, "The all-new Skull Cave. High-spirited multi-ball action starts here. Shooting 3 balls into the Skull Cave energizes the Crypt Kicker, and suddenly the entire playfield is veiled in a shroud of darkness. When the phantom organist breaks into a wild solo, the brilliant light show begins. Spirits yell party. And 1, 2, 3 balls soar out of the crypt, fly through the air, and come in for a crash landing in the jumper bumper zone. Players who really know how to party can collect the Party Monster jackpot. It starts at 1 million points and keeps building during multi-ball madness. Players must have at least 2 balls in play and make both ramps to collect their prize." And then we have another screenshot here, and it says, "All new jumper bumpers. A Bally Pinball exclusive. Players get more action than ever before. Guess what? These caps jump up and down with high-powered solenoid action. I'm the first to give players the vertical action they've been waiting for. While building the boogie bonus, jumper bumpers add to the score and keep players coming back for more." And then next to the third screenshot, "Flip-up targets, all new visual excitement. Shots strong enough to lift the lids off our coffins. When the Count awakens, he's always in the mood for a bite to eat. And it's in the player's best interest to light the barbecue and collect a big bonus before the Count sinks his teeth into something other than hamburger meat." I love it. And then you have Elvira sprawled out right there in the middle of the bottom of the page, and it's super cool. She's amazing. Elvira's the best. Okay, and then on the second page here, we have "Sound that goes bump in the night. Let me whisper in your ears. Yes, it's really my voice that's calling out to your players. The Count and I shout encouraging words while an all original music score brings out the demon in every player. Elvira is no cheap date. Players will pay to play with me. It takes more than a quarter to turn me on, oh my. One chance to party with yours cruelly costs 50 cents and nobody argues. Players who come back for more get a deal. 2 rounds with me cost 75 cents, and players who really have stamina can play 3 for $1. Elvira, you're selling yourself cheap." And then all new Boogeymen live entertainment. These awesome party monsters have players streaming with delight. When the music and light show begin, the boogeymen really get down. Players will do almost anything to see these little 3D devils dance. Besides one heck of a show, there's a rewarding boogie bonus too. Party Punch. The secret ingredient is me, and players can add to the flavor by stirring in their own ingredients. Making the right ramp opens the potion pantry and scores big points with Elvira. Reward the best party monsters with an extra ball. Deadheads. Put on your rockin' shoes. It's no easy task to wake the dead. Players must visit the graveyard and complete all 4 tombstone targets just to get one of these spirits to stir. Arousing all 3 deadheads lights the eject hole for 1,000,000 points. Monster slide, dangerous curves. Party monsters love to slip and ride on this wet, wild water slide. High speed action sends balls careening through dangerous twists and curves on their way to the exclusive downhill, uphill ramp with a motion that defies gravity. Balls travel downhill and then back up. Consecutive slide shots keep building values to 1,000,000. And that's the Elvira and the Party Monsters flyer. And of course, there was a whole bunch of different flyers and literature for this machine. Elvira was always, central in all the marketing, as she should be. And yeah, super cool. I hope to have one of these in the collection one day. I would love to have an Elvira and the Party Monsters. They're all but this is kind of expensive. Scared Stiff is really expensive. And then, of course, the latest one, House of Horrors, is still commanding quite a premium. But fingers crossed it might happen one day. It's that time in the episode where I chronicle my own personal journey of opening an arcade in my small Oregon hometown. No punches will be pulled, no stone unturned. This is an honest assessment of what I've done thus far and what I plan to do moving forward. And let's start with the audit. As of filming this episode, I have spent $33,121.11 on my business, Quarter Drop Amusements LLC. I still have 26 coin-operated machines, so same as last week, and all the signage and miscellaneous stuff that I'll need to open an arcade. I still have $0 in debt and $218.86 in my business savings account, so not much has changed there. The timeline is still the same. If all goes to plan, I plan on opening in spring to early summer of 2026. Since the last audit, I've made 2 purchases, and one of them is right here. It's this Rode Wireless Go-To microphone. I bought this so I can hopefully improve the audio of these videos, of the content, or if you're listening on Spotify, of course, of the audio version of this. I want to have clean audio moving forward, and I went ahead and made a nice little investment in that. It was $222.22, so not cheap, but hopefully it will last me for many years to come. And then I also purchased a pair of wireless noise canceling earbuds. These were kind of expensive. Sony's, the XM5s, for $279.99. And I purchased those because I was thinking, boy, when I open up the arcade, I could see being in a situation where I have to edit video, or there's so much noise, like constantly. If every day I'm surrounded by a lot of noise, that might get old. And having noise canceling earbuds to help me focus in on some work, whether I'm doing paperwork or whatever I'm working on, I thought that would be beneficial. So I was doing some research and trying to find out what were the best earbuds, wireless earbuds that had good noise canceling. And it seemed like the Sony XM5s were a good choice, and they are. The noise canceling on them is incredible, and you can put those on and have a little music going. You can't hear anything, so I love it, and they sound great too as well. So worth it. Very happy with those. All right, let's talk about another wish list item I have for the arcade. Of course, there are plenty of them because I do love anything coin-op, arcade, and pinball, and I would love to have every machine under the sun, but of course that's not practical. But I wanted to highlight a different item on the wish list each week, and this one, oh man, I love this. I actually play this on MAME quite frequently. It's a favorite. Williams, 1983. It's a shooter. We're talking about Sinistar. Man, Sinistar is so tough. It is a brutal game, and I don't ever get very far in it. I would love to keep practicing Sinistar to get to a point where I actually can play and do well at Sinistar. So you fly around in your spaceship, and you have to hit the asteroids. And when you fire at the asteroids, the little Cinnabombs kind of float off of the asteroids, or the little crystals that create Cinnabombs. And then when you have enough Cinnabombs, I think it's 14, you can take out Sinistar. And Sinistar, He shows up, I forget how many Cinnabons. After you've collected like 6 or something like that, he starts flying around, and you have to fire these Cinnabombs at him and take little chunks at a Sinistar. Now, one of the cool things about this game is it has that sweet synthesized, digitized speech, and he'll say, "Beware, I live, and I hunger, run, coward," and all this amazing kind of call outs that he has. So not only is the design of Sinistar really cool, but it's got this amazing kind of sound package and these awesome call outs, which really make it an iconic 1980s spaceship shooter that I love so much. And I would love to have a Sinistar. Now, there's that Sinistar cockpit as well. Now, that's pretty rare. That's probably not going to happen, but just a stand up Sinistar with that 49-way joystick would be super cool to have in the arcade. All right, let's talk about the next item on my to-do list. And this one is pretty straightforward, but it's got to be done. I got to make room for Jaws. So Jaws Pros are rolling off the line. They're showing up at locations. I have one on pre-order from Flipping Out Pinball, and I should be getting that invoice soon. I hope, fingers crossed. I actually hoped I would have had it by now, but I'm sure it's coming soon. And I'm gonna have to make room for it because I'm sitting in front of my Godzilla right here, and then next to Godzilla, I have a bunch of like boxes and kind of miscellaneous stuff from the arcade, redemption prizes and tickets, a big giant box of 500,000 tickets and all kinds of stuff that I have no room for. I don't know where I'm going to put it all, but I have to move all that stuff because that's where Jaws is going. Jaws is going to sit right next to Godzilla, as it should. Two Keith Elwin games right next to each other. I can't wait. So, I may be getting a storage unit. I keep putting it off. It's like $100 a month. It might have to happen because I'm running out of room in here. I would actually like to take some of the stuff in here and get it out of here so I have a little more room to work on stuff. For the people listening and not watching on Spotify, I'm in my arcade in my garage, and it's filling up real quick. I'm almost completely out of room. It's actually becoming more difficult to work on these machines. So yeah, that may have to happen, but that is the next item on my to-do list. All right, let's talk about a wish I have. A wish that I have is that my local community will embrace the arcade as a hangout spot, and it'll become a popular place for people to come to for like birthday parties or family fun, where they know that that's the place in town where you can go to and have old school family fun, because there's nothing like that in our town, and that's a big motivator for me to create this space where people of all ages, whether you're an old guy like me, or you're a young kid, or a family, multi-generational family, whatever it may be, I hope that everyone can come together. And I would love to see birthday parties happen at the arcade a lot. If I have the room, I'm going to create a little area with a table where people can come and they can have their birthday parties and order their pizza to get delivered and have their cake and all that kind of stuff. I think it's a win-win if people have a place for those birthday parties where they can, have a bunch of kids all kind of meet up in one spot. But also, it's good for the arcade because they'll all be playing the machines. And I think, yeah, as I said, it's a win-win. So I just hope that local community really latches onto this arcade and it becomes a place for everyone. They know they can come hang out. All right, next I would like to highlight a machine. I'm trying to highlight a new machine every week, and this week I want to talk about Area 51 Site 4 for the people watching. It's right here next to me. You can see it. For the people listening, I have a dedicated area, Site 4, Area 51 Site 4, that I picked up pretty reasonably. I paid $400, maybe $500 for that. It's a great machine that really didn't have too much that I needed to do to it. So when I picked it up, the had a problem where it was resetting, and I just went ahead and took all the connections on the board and reseated everything, and that solved that. So that was easy, which I love. I love an easy fix. And then the guns weren't working. So the left gun, the blue gun, actually the cable, there's a sheath. There's from the gun to the cabinet, there's a sheath with cables in it. And inside of that sheath, one of the wires had split. So I had to solder those wires together, put a little heat shrink over that, and that solved that problem. That gun works great now. And then on the right gun, the little connector that there's inside of the gun, there's a little connector, edge connector that goes into a little mini like optic board or something like that. That had come undone, so I just had to plug that back in, and that solved that. And that's all I had to do to it, other than the usual stuff like new starter, new bulb, a new starter for the marquee, a deep cleaning, some touch-up work. Now it's a rock solid machine that I love to play all the time. It's really fun. I actually like Area 51 Site 4 quite a bit. It's got all these mini games that you can play, branching paths, secret areas. One thing that I find is with some of these light gun shooters, you play them long enough, you can get some real fatigue on your finger from pulling that trigger over and over again. Maybe that's just me, I don't know. But yeah, nonetheless, it's a cool machine to have, and I'm really happy to have it in the collection. And when people come over and play here in the arcade, they oftentimes gravitate towards that. I also have a Area 51 maximum force combo board that actually came with the machine, and I'm holding on to it. Maybe I'll need it someday. Who knows? I may pick up an Area 51 and want to have a fresh new board because this one is working and in great shape. So I just have that in a box and all wrapped up nice and safe if I ever need it in the future. All right, let's share a design element of the arcade. Each week, I want to share with you a detail of what I plan when I open up my location, the Quarter Drop Arcade. And something, that's a big part of the arcade experience is design, is the audio, is the visual, is the feeling that you get when you walk into the space. And there's a lot of little details that go into that. And the item that I want to highlight this week is the red brick. Part of the aesthetic will be created using red brick. And I have a game room in my house where I don't know if you guys have seen this, but they have these 3D wall tiles. They're made out of foam. They have, you can like peel and stick them. They come in large squares. And I have a bunch of these that I put in my game room upstairs and actually down here in the arcade, but those are all white and they look really good. They not only do they look nice, they're easy to install, they're fairly affordable, but they also provide a little bit of noise insulation, which I think will be good because I'm not sure where the location of the arcade is going to be and who's going to be my neighbors. I want to be conscientious of not being too loud. I mean, it's going to be an arcade. There's going to be a lot of noise. It might be hard to mitigate some of that, but nonetheless, I want to do my best. And I think this will help with that and create a cool look. So instead of the white brick that I have in the garage here and then upstairs in my game room, I'm going to get the red brick. And you can cut it out with an X-Acto knife and create almost like a Tetris pattern on the wall. So I'm going to do like a base coat of paint. I'm not sure what color, probably black, I'd imagine, but I'm not 100% sure yet. And then apply that red brick over the base coat of paint and do it, and as I said, in like a Tetris pattern. And then, of course, you highlight it with lighting and everything else that goes into it. But that's just one little detail that I think will look really good. And it kind of goes with that. A lot of time when you think old school retro arcades, you'll see that red brick in a lot of those locations. Now, I don't think I'll be able to afford actual brick. That would be really expensive. So I think this is the next best thing of having those faux brick tiles. All right, why don't we talk about how you can help support this dream of mine and this journey of opening an arcade? And the best way to do that is to follow and engage with my various social medias. I'm having to build up all this stuff from scratch for the arcade, and I'm really enjoying it so far. I'm having a lot of fun interacting with you guys on Instagram and TikTok. And then, of course, this is on Spotify if you want to listen to it or if you want to watch it, and subscribe here on YouTube. Following those accounts and engaging with those accounts and just kind of following along on this journey of mine is a great way to help me and get the word out there and kind of build this social media presence over the next couple years before I actually open up. And all these links to my various social medias can be found on my website, www.quarterdroparcade.com. That's quarterdroparcade.com. I really appreciate it. Thank you very much. With that down, guys, that is the 4th episode of Arcade Chronicles. Check in the books. Thank you so much for joining me today, guys. And of course, stay tuned for fresh episodes weekly, whether you're listening to it on Spotify or watching here on YouTube. Keep an eye out for those. And until next time, Live every day like you're going for a new high score.